been seeing this stuff going on with California. This is like actually crazy. Shut up, computer.
I have been glued to the coverage of the California fires. It is hard to imagine what that must be like. My heart goes out to anyone affected by it. I'm wishing you the absolute best. It looks like footage of a doomsday.
Here is a satellite picture of the Eaton fire just this morning. It shows nearly every building in western Altadena on fire. In the Palisades, the destruction, it's immeasurable. The fire there has destroyed at least 1,000 structures so far.
I have been reading and watching so much about these fires over the last 4 hours now, just trying to get to the bottom of how did it start and how do you stop it, because it is just out of control and it seems like people are powerless against it to try and halt the spread of it. It's affecting so many thousands of families and animals. It's unbelievable. And unfortunately, the answer to both those questions, how did it start, how do you stop it, is a resounding don't know. It's almost impossible to track exactly where all this began because it could have been absolutely anything. It's so dry and so windy in California. Windy doesn't even begin to cover just how strong the winds are. I read a couple articles saying that wind speeds were getting up to 80 miles per hour. Wow. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's like an apocalyptic amount of wind. That's like something you'd read in Homer's The Odyssey when one of the gods gets angry. So that combination of dry and windy, anything could have started this. It could have been Harold and his family in their backyard on Tuesday were making s'mores, and one of the embers just got, picked up and brought on an adventure by the wind, leading to a small fire starting, and that small fire immediately just blossoms into something like this. Now, it's multiple fires that have been happening throughout California. It's not just one, which is what makes it even worse. Fires keep breaking out and keep spreading all over the fucking place. And there's so many factors at play for making this even more difficult to combat than it already is with these conditions. So I read a lot of reports about there just not being enough water for them to fight it, as well as the winds being too high for any kind of aerial attempts. Even though there have been aerial attempts, you can see some of the footage, like one of the planes that dropped water. It was getting fucking ragdolled by the wind. Luckily, the plane didn't crash or anything, but after it dropped the water, the wind was blowing it around like it was an NVIDIA physics demonstration. It was unbelievable. I was also reading reports of budget cuts that may have had an impact on the fire department's ability to control a fire like this. I was also reading there's just not enough firefighters in the area to fight against something of this scale. So there's just so many different things at play. And I am showing a lot of self-restraint right now, not ranting and raving about insurance companies as well. I'll briefly mention it, though. I'm sure a lot of you saw this. State Farm and, some insurance providers, they decided, you know what? Don't really need fire insurance. So a lot of homeowners that are losing their homes right now, a lot of families that are losing their homes, no longer have any kind of fire coverage because the insurance just, they didn't think they needed it anymore. So I was reading a lot about how State Farm in particular canceled a lot of fire insurance, so there's a lot to say about that. I'll bite my tongue on it. I've ranted about insurance a lot over the last couple of years. But anyway, the big question is, how do you fight against it? And right now the answer is, you don't. The best they can do is try and save, animals. I noticed a lot of effort being made to get pets out of houses that some families left behind, as well as horses that got left behind, and trying their best to save property. But it doesn't seem like there's any viable way for them to stop the spread of the fire at this moment because of just how absurd the wind conditions are, and also just not having enough tools at their disposal for it, like with water and everything. And that's just really scary. They have come out and said the best thing they can do is just wait for it to run out of fuel. That's really about it at the moment. It's a horrifying set of circumstances out there. It's absolutely tragic. Now, of course, with anything of this scale, there's going to be some very brain-dead takes about the whole thing. There's no real point in diving into some of those, but I'm seeing some unhinged shit, why aren't the residents of Bikini Bottom coming up from the ocean to start spritzing salt water on the fires to help us out? And how can there be fire when there's ocean right next to it? The big thing I'll briefly talk on this one because I see this a lot. Why aren't they just using the salt water to put out the fire? There's an unlimited amount right next to them. Well, you don't really want to be salting the earth. That's not ideal, but at least salt water is better than no water. And I actually read from the California fire captain that the actual acquisition of that water, getting it, transporting it, making some kind of holding pool for it, and then making some kind of way for it to use in their pumps so it can draw from the holding pool to their pumps is just very difficult. And also the weather conditions make it extremely difficult to get a fixed wing aircraft out there to super scoop the water because the wind is blowing so hard. That could also just be deadly if they tried to get any kind of aircraft out there to super scoop the water. So the big thing for not using the salt water right now is that it's just really hard for them to even get to use against the fire if they wanted to, which is why they're using, water from lakes and reservoirs and all of that. But I have seen that a lot. It's actually like a SpongeBob solution. Why don't we take the ocean and move it over there on top of the fire a little bit?
Niggas want to go in the creative mode.
It's not that easy. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, no, I've been seeing the videos of the fires out in California. It is horrifying. Here, hold on. I saw this video earlier today. So most people were ordered to evacuate, and I imagine most people did. There's a video of some people that didn't.
This was going viral to all over the place. Look at this video.
This actually looks like something out of Doom. Like Doom Eternal or something.
Wow.
Like when the portal to hell opens.
This was a guy who didn't heed the warning, stayed behind, and look at what happened here. I mean, to be surrounded by flames in all direction with your dog there. So this is not what you want to have happen. That
is insightful. Listen, folks. This is not what you want to have happen. You don't want flames blazing, this inferno surrounding you. You're not looking at a good time. I'm just going to say it. Hey, call me a jerk all you want. You don't really want that.
If he was able to post the video, I hope he ended up being okay. I hope he was able to get out, but
from what I recall, he did.
An exact update on what exactly happened.
Yeah, the footage that's been coming out from this is it's hard to believe that it's not a movie. It's truly nuts.
Obviously, this is our local story, but
it's like something out of a Roland Emmerich film.
News anchors coming here today. I mean, this is.
What's even more fucked up is apparently a lot of people were denied fire insurance by companies like State Farm shortly before the wildfires happened. No, what? What? Insurance did that? I must have misread that. That can't be right. That doesn't make sense. No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. Don't make me go on insurance now. Now I'm fucking stun locked on insurance. You remember, I think I talked about this on stream. So, I don't remember which hurricane, but one of the hurricanes that blew through Florida a few months ago, it caused some flood damage to our warehouse. Nothing like too expensive to fix or anything, but we of course had flood insurance. Well, let me tell you, the insurance being the saints they are, they found a way to weasel out of any coverage for the flood damage, so it came all out of pocket. And that's the way it goes. That you pay for the insurance for the sole purpose of helping when a natural disaster happens, and their whole goal is to make sure they don't actually pay you for what you've been paying them for the entire time. It's incredible.
Wow.
It works that same way in health insurance. It's amazing. It's really amazing stuff. What was their reason for denying it? What was their reason for denying it? Oh, fuck, I can't remember. I think one of the big things was they didn't think the flood damage was as bad as we made it sound. And also, even if it was, it didn't do enough damage to warrant them covering any of it. It was some combination of those two excuses. Didn't only damage one part of the warehouse. No. One part of the warehouse got it worse than the other. The back building where we play for skill check videos. That one, the entire floor and everything had like 2 or 3 inches of standing water. That one definitely got it the worst and destroyed most of the things that were still on ground level there. But the main warehouse building had water damage in the walls. But not too bad, all things considered. But it still would have been nice if flood insurance was like, hey, yeah, we'll cover that. We'll help cover that. You literally pay us to cover it, so we'll do that. But they didn't do that. Because this really is just, it's unbelievable.
So this is an entire...
God dang.
Entirely. This whole street. Gone.
It's just actually erasing so much.
Nothing left.
And I didn't know this, but
Got
apparently the reason this is so out of control is because of how windy it's been in California. Because there's been a lot of wildfires in California. There's the big ones a few years back that took out a lot. But this seems to be like a totally different beast because the wind is unreal. How does this start? Is it just dry and wind? Literally that. There's no telling exactly what started this. It could be a fucking cigarette being flipped out by a substitute teacher that just got off of work. And then it just starts a small little fire and it's so windy that it just blows it up. It just explodes it. It could be absolutely anything. Alien drone lasers from Jersey. I am actually surprised I haven't seen more conspiracy theory takes on it. Now, granted, I haven't really been looking or anything, but I feel like that would have been one of the first things. The first fire started in someone's backyard. Imagine having a small fire end up costing thousands of houses. Where did you see that? I didn't see that. It's very possible, with how bad the wind is, that is actually what started all of this, but where did you see that info? Let me look it up. 5 football fields a minute, how a perfect storm of extreme weather...
Why do niggas... Why do they measure things in football fields, bro?
Set off...
Is that, like, does it work for Americans, like, for us to visualize or something?
Los Angeles wildfires.
It's our only, like...
Man, holy shit. They're picking up burning debris and embers and depositing them downwind, and that's the recipe for what we've got now. There's nothing the fire crews can physically do to stop this fire. All they can do is try to get ahead of it and hope there are enough natural fire breaks in the form of rivers, open areas with little vegetation that maybe can slow it down a little bit. It's virtually uncontrollable, and they go out, typically, only when they run out of fuel. Okay, so it broke out around 10:20 a.m. Tuesday. Its exact cause remains under investigation. So I don't know where you saw that it started in someone's backyard. Didn't a fire start one time because of a gender reveal? Yes. Wow. That was 4 years ago, I want to say.
Lock them
a
niggas
gender
up.
reveal party caused a massive raging wildfire. Yep. Like all the footage coming out, you can just see it from anywhere in California, it seems. Well, okay, not anywhere in California. You can see it from many, 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 many miles away, and the whole sky is just like this orange, smoky hellscape.
California, which is also on fire. This is the Eaton fire in the Altadena area, and for the first time, our colleague Gina Silva is giving us a look from the ground. Those are horses, Gina?
Those are horses, yes. There's a woman that just came down the road here, and she's trying
God, just look at that.
But as you can see,
what the fuck?
Altadena, and this entire hillside is on fire. It has already crossed the street, and there's a building here that is in danger of also. You can see how dangerous the situation is. These are the streets: Kinalea Canyon Road, Outpost Lane, Glen Springs, Coolidge, Miranda, Roosevelt, Vernada.
Yeah, I don't know how she's even able to report. Like, the smoke inhalation alone must be just impossible.
And these winds are absolutely dangerous.
Were there any attempts of using helicopters to collect water from the ocean to put out these fires? So I only started reading about this like an hour or so before stream. Chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually kind of dangerous to fly during this because the wind is so strong. Like, so strong, so there's not a ton of, like, aerial water attempts.
Scared to ask a dumb question.
But I don't think you'd be using ocean water.
The wind is just like that naturally, or, like, can the fire make the wind stronger? I don't know if that's a dumb question or not. It might be.
Water, by the way. I think you just mean general water. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you'd be wanting to use salt water. But if I remember correctly, from what I was reading, they're not doing a lot of aerial stuff because of how risky it is with the wind speed. Because the wind speed is getting like to 80 miles per hour. Is it mainly in the hills of California right now? So there's 4. I think it's 4. And I don't think they're all just in the hills of California. But I think the majority of it is there. CNN says there's 6. Well, it looks like there was at one point, but I think this icon means that it's like under control. I would guess, because I mean usually green.
How is it firing
good.
All the way over here?
This is one of those situations like with hurricanes. You'd hope we had some weapons or technology to stop it. Oh, you know, this isn't what you were trying to say, but you know what it just reminded me of? You remember how all the people are saying, like, the government's got, like, the Democrats have the hurricane machines, the weather machines that they're sending hurricanes at Florida with? Where the fuck is that technology now? Why does the weather machine only happen sometimes if we have that technology? Yeah, if the weather machines are real, now would be a really good time to start a torrential downpour or something in California.